Okay, so after a really tough couple of years, there's this buzz in the home building industry. People are talking about green shoots, the first signs of a real recovery. But here's the big question. Is that optimism real, or is it just a dangerous head fake that could lead builders down a totally wrong path? Let's dive in, take a look at both sides, and figure out what it all means for 2026.
I mean, if you were at the recent International Builders Show, you felt it. You could just feel this shift in the air. It wasn't, crazy euphoria or anything, but that panic we've seen for the last 18 months, it was gone. The vibe was definitely one of cautious optimism, a feeling that maybe, just maybe, the worst is finally behind us.
But, and this is a big but, what if it's just a head fake? What if this whole feeling is just temporary relief, a little bit of cautious over-optimism that's making everyone miss the real huge challenges that are still out there? That's the tension we really need to dig into.
All right, so first up, let's make the case for optimism. Why is this hopeful vibe even happening? Turns out there's some pretty solid reasons people are feeling this way.
So this optimism, it's really a mix of hard data and, honestly, gut feeling. Builders are telling stories about better foot traffic. We're seeing more consistent sales activity in January. And there's this general sense that the market finally hit rock bottom late last year. And of course, the big ones. Mortgage rates have stabilized a bit, and builders have been getting super aggressive with incentives to get buyers back in the door.
But here's the catch, and it's a big one. Feeling better isn't the same as being better. Hopeful anecdotes are great, don't get me wrong, but they don't automatically mean we have a sustainable long-term recovery on our hands. Not one that's built on solid economic fundamentals anyway.
And that brings us to the other side of the story. The serious evidence suggesting this early optimism might be, well, a trap. Let's look at the numbers because they're flashing some pretty big warning signs.
See, this isn't just some temporary blip. We're looking at a structural problem here. Job growth in high-income sectors, the professional and financial jobs that actually buy new homes, is shrinking. That means the pool of qualified buyers is literally contracting, and that's not something that just bounces back next quarter.
And this slide really shows you the scale of the affordability crisis. Just let this number sink in for a second. 65%. Nearly 2/3 of all U.S. households are completely priced out of a medium-priced new home right now. The market is just fundamentally broken on affordability.
And if you want to see just how incredibly fragile this market is, get this. A price increase of just $1,000, $1,000, which is nothing on a building budget, knocks another 150,000 families completely out of the market. It's that tight.
This quote really just nails it. The margin for error is razor thin. When affordability is this stretched and the buyer pool is this sensitive to every little price change, there is basically zero room for mistakes. Banking too much on those early green shoots, yeah, that could be a very, very expensive gamble.
Okay, so if we can't trust the good vibes from January, when will we know for sure? Well, the real verdict on the market's health isn't coming from these early stories. It's going to come after the peak selling season, July. July is the month that's going to tell the real story.
And to really get why, let's compare what's happening now to what a real recovery looks like. On one hand, you have the early year activity. That could just be what some people call uncertainty fatigue, buyers who are just so tired of waiting that they finally jump in. It's fragile. On the other hand, a real rebound, the kind we'd see by summer, is driven by the fundamentals: rising incomes, strong job creation, and actual improvements in affordability. They are two completely different animals.
By the time we get to July, the data is going to give us some really clear answers. We'll know, did builders actually have any pricing power, or did they just throw a ton of incentives at the problem? We'll see if the quality of their sales backlog got any better, and most importantly, we'll finally know, did that pool of qualified buyers actually get bigger, or were we just selling to the same small group of people?
So with so much hanging on those July numbers, it begs the question, what can builders actually control right now? Instead of just sitting around and waiting for the market to save them, there's a really powerful lever that often gets totally overlooked.
The whole industry tends to get obsessed with stuff they have zero control over. What's the Fed gonna do? Where are mortgage rates headed? It's just a constant waiting game.
But the real power to fix this affordability crisis, it isn't with the Fed. It's on the job site, it's in the back office, in the sales center. The real key here is operational efficiency.
And this right here shows you exactly how that works. Every single day you shave off a build cycle, that saves money. Every bit of rework you avoid, that's a cost saving.
I mean, industry analysis shows that for every single day you cut from a build cycle, a builder can save hundreds, sometimes thousands in carrying costs. Those aren't just savings for you, that is affordability you can pass directly onto a buyer.
And here's the best part. This is stuff that's fully within a builder's control. These are improvements you can make right now, today, without waiting for a single press release from the Federal Reserve. It's about taking control of what you can actually control.
So, what does all this mean for the leaders in the home building industry? Well, it points to a very clear mandate for the rest of the year. This is not the time to ease up. This is the time to get sharper.
And to help leaders do just that, to benchmark their own performance, new tools are starting to pop up. For instance, the new HousingWire Homebuilder rankings are designed specifically to track these metrics, things like cycle time, efficiency, and execution, so leaders can see exactly where they can get better.
So the game plan for 2026 becomes really clear. Number one, don't get fooled by this early momentum. It's probably not a durable recovery. Two, you got to double down on operational excellence and getting closer to your customer. 3, lean into technology to tighten up all your workflows. And 4, reduce friction across that entire buyer journey. Make it easy.
So, look, the big takeaway is this. The solution here isn't to sit on your hands and wait for mortgage rates to fall. The solution is to build a better business, period. And this quote just perfectly sums up the winning strategy. The leaders who come out of this stronger won't be the ones who breathed a sigh of relief back in January. Nope. They'll be the ones who saw this moment not as a signal to relax, but as a clear mandate to get sharper, faster, and just plain better.
Look, this isn't just a challenge. It's a massive opportunity. The mandate is to turn your focus inward and build a fundamentally better business. That work starts right now. So the only question left is your organization ready?